Hello, hello.
Howdy.
Is it automatically recording? Yeah.
Yep. Yeah, I do that just because I think like the soft lead in is better, like especially if I'm listening to other podcasts and they're like, yeah, it's like I can tell like in the background they're like, okay, now we're
And
starting like
now
in
we press
three,
record.
three, two, one.
Sure, sure.
But I don't know. In other ones that I've done, it's just kind of nice to like do that. General catch up, what's going on, how
Yeah.
things moving.
No, awesome, man. I'm glad we got the chance to do this. I got everything set up so I look nice and crisp on
Oh,
my
there you
end.
go.
So this is the camera I film all my TikToks and IG videos on. So I had to turn it from vertical to horizontal.
Oh, nice. Yep. Are you
Yeah.
using
So
the prompter?
yeah, exactly. So that's
Okay.
why I can just look at you right in the
Yeah, I was
eyes.
like, damn. Okay, so yeah, that's looking good.
Yeah,
I
and then I got my computer off to this side with some notes. So
okay.
that's honestly when I do it and I jump on calls, like video calls, people are like, "Oh my God, it looks like a movie." It
Yeah,
looks like
yeah, it
yeah,
does.
yeah. So
I almost bought the prompter over the weekend because I was filming a new VSL, and
ah,
typically, like in the way I've done it, recently is the script is right here, and then I'll just like memorize a line, look at the thing, then back and forth, back and forth. But I can totally see how it would be helpful to just have it right there.
so I'll tell you that's like my little secret. So I used to do exactly what you just described,
Uh
where
huh.
I would have my notes off to the left, and then I'd look at the camera, I'd go back and forth and back and forth. And I found when I switched to using the prompter, it's so much better because it's almost like the words or the notes, whatever you use. So sometimes I use notes, sometimes I use a script. They almost get subconsciously burned into your brain as you're talking. So
Mm.
that way you don't have to you don't have to do it a million times. Like, especially with me, I'll flub a line, I'll do it like five
Yeah.
times. And when I first started out, oh my gosh, I was doing it like 100 takes just to get like a 30-second video. But
Yeah.
that is, that's content creation in a nutshell. You got to go through all those hard times up front to kind of learn what works, what doesn't.
Exactly. What's the other parts of your setup? Do you have multiple other monitors? Are you running off a MacBook or what are you
Yeah, so I
using?
have a MacBook Pro, and I have a it's kind of a weird workflow. So I do my research, script everything out, or do notes, throw it onto the teleprompter, and then I do a chunk at a time. And what a lot of people do is they'll film everything and then they'll jump right into the edit. What I actually do is I film, and as I'm filming, I edit. And I learned this from a guy called Unnecessary Inventions. Have you ever seen his
Oh
videos
yeah.
before?
Yep.
So he did this interview, I forget, with some YouTube channel. And he was like, yeah, so I just do it this way. And I was like, and he explained his little process of like just doing it in like 20-second chunks, like 10-second chunks,
Yep.
one line, and then going into the edit in Final Cut Pro or whatever. And I was like, it like almost blew my mind because I was like, this guy has like 5 million subscribers, and you're telling me he does this? I didn't realize it was allowed. You know what I mean? So I
Yeah.
was like, and it completely changed how I do my videos. Like I feel like my video, because I just want my videos to flow really well. Like that's like
Mhm.
the core of my videos, and it's really helped with that. So I don't know if you do that or do you just film all first?
Yeah, no, I do something very similar. Like I'll film a section and then because I'll use OBS for that type of content
Yeah.
when I'm filming for my computer, and then like for the VSL that I was doing, I had a script, but then I don't necessarily follow like I during it like I will notice that I'm like, oh, I need to make this sound more like me in general, so I would change some words here and there, and then putting all of that like that minute 2 minutes of content I'll put into Descript, have Descript do its little thing where it pulls out all the
It's
word gaps,
blanks. Yeah.
uh, and then I can quickly do a general edit, and then I can, like you just said, I can watch and feel the flow of it, which then helps me adjust for the next section to film. And
Yeah.
that
That's
process
that.
has been working pretty well for me for that type of content. I don't really do that for short form though.
Okay. Yeah, I just started doing it, and
Yeah.
it's
Oh, it's
made
working.
like, yeah, apparently.
Definitely working.
I mean, what's really funny is sometimes I do this. I'll scroll all the way back to my like earliest
Oh,
videos, especially when I'm like feeling demotivated, and like this happens like on a daily basis where I'm like, my videos are terrible. Why does anyone watch me?
yep.
I wake up every day. I'm like, this is the day. They're all gonna find out. Like the videos are actually terrible.
Yep.
And then I'll scroll back and to like a few like my first few videos, and I'll be like, oh well, actually I've actually come a decent way from where I first
Oh yeah.
started out.
Oh yeah. Did you archive any of your old content?
Oh yeah.
Okay. Okay. Same.
Super cringe, especially when you're just starting out with content creation. I know we're focusing a lot on content creation in this discussion, but it's stuff that I think everyone should be a content creator, and I know that content creators say that,
Yeah,
but
yeah,
I
yeah.
didn't know that until I became a content creator because it opens up so many doors.
Yeah.
But anyway, just going back to what we were saying about talking about before, you kind of need to experiment a lot when you first start creating content because
Yep.
that you're trying to figure out what your voice is, what area of the content creation process you're the best at from the start, and then you can just put fuel on the fire. Like I am terrible at the editing process. I just do where I'm on the bottom half and then I have b-roll on the top half. And I realized that early on. I was like, oh, okay, I can be really good at like the presentations because I have 10 plus years of working, doing presentations with clients. So I just switched that on, and I'm like, okay, I can do like the fancy like hand movements and talking and all that kind of stuff. And so I leaned a lot into that. And that's when I started to grow a lot. And then I started working on the scripting and like, the visuals and the music in the background.
Yep.
But you're going to be terrible. Like, I'm sure you look at your
Oh,
first videos and you're like, this is terrible. Like,
terrible.
I can't believe people watch this.
Exactly. Yeah. I mean, and I was posting on Instagram for maybe like a year and a half, 2 years, and it was 300 to 500 views per video, 1,000 followers, like, and it was like 800 of those people were family and friends and college friends, like people that I knew.
Right.
And then I think it was a Gary Vee video or a Hermosi video or something like early on where they're like post every day for a year, and through that process you will learn everything, like everything that you need to know, and your life will change. And I was like, oh, all right, because I wasn't like taking it that seriously. It was kind of just like on the side, and I didn't really know why I was creating content in the first place.
Yeah.
But then once I started my agency, and I was like, oh, I need to create content in order to get clients.
Yeah.
So it was always from a place of generating leads and generating new business.
Sure.
And through that process, I went from taking the phone and there's edits of me like looking at the screen and clicking stop. It's like you see
Right,
that
right.
type of stuff now, and you're like, oh my god, it's cringing so hard. But
Right, right.
yeah, posting like 100 and something videos on my 120th one or something like that. That's the one that spiked and went crazy. And ever since then, it's like that's the high that I've been chasing ever since.
Oh yeah. That is a very high. That's the highest of highs. It's like chasing the dragon. Whenever you get a viral video, you're
Seriously.
like, and it's crazy that happened. Honestly, like within my first month, I just happened to like hit on something that a bunch of people were really interested in, and it was right when like AI video was starting to really pop off. So you
Yeah.
could do some really cool things with AI video, and I created a video just randomly. Like I wasn't even supposed to be creating that video, and it's pinned, I think, still on my Instagram page. And I want people to realize like you don't have to have all your stuff together. Like I realized a month later, I'm not even in focus in the video, like as I'm talking.
Yep.
Like, but the funny part is this video generated, it probably has like 5 or 6 million views. I got 10 to 20,000 followers from it. It opened the door for Instagram to where I was like, oh, Instagram like can really, really explode and bring in just tons and tons of people.
Yeah.
And Yeah, it was incredible. So like anyone that is thinking about creating content, you don't have to be perfect from the start. I was trying to be perfect from the start, and I failed miserably, and I'm
Yeah.
still okay.
Yeah, yeah. It's interesting how it's always like every time I talk to somebody like this that has experienced that, it's not consistent growth, it's consistency that then leads to the video that explodes with growth
Yeah.
and then goes back down and then
Hmm.
consistency brings it. And it's like you have to be able to, weather the storm of those ebbs and flows in order to reach that one that will go viral. And like that, I don't know. I've never heard it have been like, oh, I gain 100 followers a day, or every video I do it does well. Like I've never heard that essentially.
Yeah, no, not at all. And I think what ends up happening is like early on, those videos are almost by luck. Like you just the stars just happen to
Hmm.
align where your script is great, the editing, whatever it is, just it pops off, or you just
Yep.
happen to land. Sometimes I just happen to catch a trend right before it pops off, and that's what causes the video to pop. And you could learn from those because then you go back and you go, okay, well, this one I was able to catch a trend early. This one I scripted my hook really, really well and got them to watch all the way to the end. This one, my editing kept the pacing so that they were really engaged all the way through. And yeah, I think that's really the key is just try, and this is so cliche, try to make your videos like 1% better every single time. Just sit down and be like, okay, this was my last video. How can I make my next video better? And it's not
Hmm.
all, you're not going to always make it better every single time, but if you at least say that, you'll at least be heading in the right direction.
Yeah. So now that you have a consistent and successful style of content, are you even considering testing other formats now,
Yeah,
or
100%.
are you still
My
are? Okay.
whole, oh yeah, 100%. My whole thing is I don't want people to get bored
Yeah.
of what I'm creating and I don't want to become like a gimmick. Like I want to constantly be pushing myself to create better and better content, but also like create better content for the audience because it's like the wild west in the algorithm, and like there's constantly new people coming in
Yeah.
like doing things, and I scroll sometimes, I'm like, man, I wish I could create content like some of the people that I follow. And so what I'm trying to do is break it up with, you do this great with your carousel posts, you do it really great with like the meme stuff. Like I am really want to have those different formats in my arsenal so
Uh-huh.
that I can pull from them whenever I need to.
Yeah.
Like I'm going to Colorado for like a week and a half starting tomorrow. So I've banked a bunch of stuff and I've
Nice.
banked some carousels and things like that, which again really helps because then on days, especially with like carousels and stuff, you don't have to research, script, film, edit. Like I don't think people realize how much time it takes to do like a legit 30 to 60-second
Yep.
video. Like it might take me hours and hours. It could, there are some days where I work like almost half a day to a day on a video that might be like 60 seconds. And it just might look like I just pressed record and started talking, which is what I want. You know what I
Exactly.
mean?
That's the goal. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Like I really like that about when you're scrolling on Instagram is like, okay, yeah, like, and it's just engaging. Like it just immediately gets you. It's just I'm talking to someone like you, like, you know what I
Yep.
mean, right now. And I like that about, especially because we're friends with a lot of creators now. That's what I really like about the creators that we're friends with, that they can just press record and it's like you're talking to like your friend on FaceTime.
Yep. Yep. It's so relatable. So like, have you tried carousels or other styles of posts at all yet?
Yeah, so I've tried. I
Okay.
just happened to have a carousel pop off a few days ago, and it kind of opened my eyes. I like that. I don't know how to pronounce it. Puberty. You know what I'm talking about? That big Instagram. They
Oh, yeah,
kind
yeah,
of
yeah.
like coined that whole. You do those carousels, the
That like
similar
news
carousel style.
style type
Yeah,
one.
exactly.
Yeah.
Where it's the
Okay.
cover page, has the text that kind of teases it, and then you scroll and it kind of shows either like a video or images or whatever it is.
Yep.
And that, yeah, I've started testing it, and my audience really liked it. So I'm gonna keep trying to, pump those out in kind of same kind of engaging way.
The incredible AI generated rivals HBO, or
Yeah, that was. Yeah, I found.
is that the
I
one?
try to find these like I guess diamonds in the rough, you know what I mean, on like Reddit and X and like just, everywhere that I can. And then feature them because I feel like if I have, not to like toot my own horn, I feel like I have a good, yeah. I feel like I have a good eye for catching people early on,
Yeah.
what people are gonna react to, and so these perform really well because
Oh yeah.
people specifically take a hard yes or no stance. Like on TikTok, this performed really, really well. It has like 700,000 or 800,000 views because so many people in the comments are going, "I love this," and then the other people are going, "This is the worst."
I
You know what
hate
I
it.
mean? So
Yeah.
they
Yep.
take that stance, and then that really helps with obviously with engagement, the algorithm, and all that. But then they have these conversations within the actual comment section that ends up boosting engagement and the algorithm.
Yeah, that's definitely a learned skill to be able to be okay with the hate, knowing that
Oh yeah.
it generates more action and more, pushes the videos, it pushes everything further.
Yeah, and to be honest, I don't go into it with the mindset of like, oh yeah, people are gonna hate this, and
Yeah.
I can't wait to spread more hate. And quite honestly, like I don't want to do that because I feel like so many, like the news and the media and like all these big accounts, like that is how they generate a lot of views. Is they kind of know like it's the little
Yeah.
secret that if you kind of outrage people, they'll comment and be like, oh, this is terrible. And I never. That's why I named my channel "It's Better with
Better
AI"
with
because
AI.
I was
Yeah.
trying to take this kind of positive, lighthearted approach to everything, without kind of spreading like fear
Yeah.
but it happens regardless, right? Because like AI specifically, we're kind of both in this little niche, and we both know that like especially early on with my videos, I would get hundreds, if not thousands, of comments of like, AI is terrible. What are you doing? I would get the craziest comments, people like threatening me. You know what I mean? And I'm
Yep.
just like,
Oh yeah.
I'm just sharing information. Like I'm
Yeah.
not
Yeah. Yeah.
telling you you have to do this.
No.
Like,
My
yeah.
my go-to response now, if I even engage with them at all, like I've gotten some of those where it's to the point where it's yeah, they're making threats or like,
Oh yeah.
F you, blah 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 or whatever, and a lot of them will get liked or upvoted a lot, which is very interesting.
Oh
maybe
yeah.
maybe concerning, but
Yeah. Kind of
very interesting
concerning.
nonetheless. And my go-to response now is like, "Oh, I hope you have a better day. I hope you're feeling better tomorrow." Like,
Yeah, I mean, I've started saying that stuff too because I don't want to throw more hate out there, and I don't think maybe when I was younger, like I'd engage and be like, yeah, let my
that's the other thing.
ego take over.
We think it might be our peers, but in reality, it's like some 15-year-old who like
Right.
is just
Who he doesn't
doom
have a
scrolling.
fully formed prefrontal cortex and is just saying things on the internet because his parents aren't watching or whatever. But also like I don't want to spread more like hate and outrage on the internet.
Yeah,
But
and I've also realized too, like I can't change people's minds about these types of things. Like if they're so set in their ways that they're gonna make that type of comment or like that approach, like good luck to you. Like
yeah,
there's not much
exactly.
I can do for you.
Right, right, exactly. And yeah, I hope that they do eventually come around, but you can't change everyone's minds.
Yeah. So with the carousel style post, I think those do incredibly well. I mean, I've done a lot of those recently. In the past, I did so many of them as like simulated tweet threads, where I would like make a tweet thread or make a thing in Canva that makes it look like I tweeted a thread.
Smart.
And I did that for probably a year and a half or 2 years, like part 366 of top 5 websites that you need to know, or something like that, because I was always trying to like work off of that. But recently, after I became more comfortable with the carousels, I've now, like you said, I've dived into these memes, which I was so like scared. I don't know if scared is the right word, because
Sure.
I'm not really, I'm not scared, but I was like
Just,
concerned,
yeah,
maybe, how
apprehensive about changing the format, how
something
people
new.
would. Right.
Yeah. Humans, like, we fear change, right? Like, so
Yeah.
I was like, how are people going to respond to this? And of course, it just goes nuclear. And what has been some interesting, like, so on the nerdy side of content creation and analytics, I had a video that was my face where I put some text over it that said, here's how I've trained ChatGPT. Here's an interesting prompt, and then linked below.
Right.
That one's at like 2 million views or so, and has generated like 12, maybe 13,000 new followers from that one post.
Wow. Was this a recent one? Because I did see one when I was scrolling fairly recently.
Yeah,
Or
it
was this like
was.
within the past like week or so?
Yeah, here, I'll show you.
Yeah, I want to try these formats out, especially the meme ones. And I also was a little apprehensive. So one thing, and I've talked to you about this before, but you can always test those out as trial reels to see
Yep.
how they perform. I think not a lot of people take advantage of trial reels as much as they should. Oh yeah. I saw. It's funny. I think I saw this one this morning. Did you just post this?
So I've reused this video and I've changed the hook several
Oh, okay.
times now. So this one's at 2.1 million views and went crazy, and it's generated like, I think I can pull it up here. Let's see.
Oh, the analytics. Ooh, a little behind the scenes.
Behind the scenes. Okay, so 8,000 followers from this one video.
That's insane, man.
From
Those are what you look for. Those
from
kind of.
from 2 million. But here's what's really interesting. This one has 6 million. This is the meme one. And this one has 10,000. So
Interesting.
triple the views, but only 2,000 more followers generated.
You want to know why? And I think this goes back to something that we've talked about before is people want that personal connection. So I think
Exactly.
they see your face and they say, okay, this is someone that's not, this isn't a meme page. This isn't necessarily a quote unquote theme page, right? That just kind of broadly talks about or posts like carousels about, AI or whatever. But this is someone who's actually an expert that I can learn from.
Yep.
And that always goes back to what we're doing as content creators is to give people what they want, which is to be educated, to learn more about whatever it is that we're talking about, but from like a personal creating that personal connection with them, at the same time. And that's where I think we can win as, personal content creators over, people that just run like meme pages or anything like that, that may have million, 2 million, 3 million followers,
Yep.
but they don't have that connection with their audience.
And that goes for like the faceless channels, the Yeti AI video
Yeah.
channels now. Like, there was a post from, I think, ChatGPT Tricks that posted a video of, let me pull this up. This was super interesting. This account is like 4 days old, and they've posted 3 videos, and they're already at like 105K followers or something.
Yeah, man. It's funny that you brought up the vlog videos because I have
So
that
this
in my
one,
notes.
3 videos, 112K followers, and I was like, okay, well, where's the standout? Boom. This video has 57 million,
Wild.
57 million views.
It's absolutely wild. And I love VO3 for that because it is allowing people to like take these crazy ideas that are in their imagination and be like, all right, so what would it look like if this actually played out? And like what we're watching right now is
Yeah.
a guy diving with his dog underwater, and the dog's in like this little bubble like suit almost, so he can breathe, thankfully. And it's like, it's something that would just pop up as you're like trying to fall asleep, like a
Yeah.
crazy idea. And I love that. Like, that's like what I love about AI is like people can create this stuff and then just put it on social media, put it on the internet and get instant feedback.
Yeah. Yeah. And 57, I mean, that probably will pay out. I mean, with the creator fund, that will pay out at least if, I mean, it's terrible now, but probably a few $100s, if not a few $1,000s for 57 million.
Yeah, so if that video is over a minute, so they may not have been in the creator fund since that was their first video, but all their subsequent videos they would probably get paid, especially if they hit over 10,000 followers from that first video. All the
Yeah.
subsequent videos would definitely make money, and I think that's really, I think it's a lot of kids going in, getting access to VO3 and then saying, all right, I'm going to use this, during my summer to make a few extra $1,000. And then just taking, if they get a video that pops off and they make a few $100, they just take that, put it back into VO3 and just keep trying to churn out videos. I'm really interested at the monetization aspect of this because I think these kids can make actually a lot of money off of this because there's the creator fund that they can monetize off of. And then what I've seen a lot of these kids do is actually sell like ebooks or courses on how to actually create these like Yeti vlogs or whatever.
Yep.
And the third thing I've seen them do, which is really interesting, is about TikTok Shop.
Yep.
Have you seen the Yetis selling TikTok Shop products?
Mm-hmm.
It's incredible. I was actually thinking about making a video on it, but it is insane that, well, one, that TikTok is allowing this, but two, that, they can kind of get the products pretty decent and almost create like these QVC style shorts from them.
Yeah.
And I'm sure they're making a ton of money because they're capitalizing on the VO3 trend.
Yep. There was a post I saw this morning that it was like two Chinese looking guys that were on a live stream doing live shopping, and they did like $12 million in sales, and they were AI the whole time. AI generated the whole time.
I saw that too. It's funny. I actually have I have a video banked that I was going to make on that. So I have
That's
it
good.
all filmed and
Our
everything. I
feeds are
just have
so similar. I feel
yeah,
like.
yeah. I already know who you saw. It was Callaway.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Was it Callaway, the guy with the black hoodie and the black hat?
Maybe. I don't know.
Yeah.
I just, scrolling in the morning, getting my daily dose of content.
Oh yeah, you got to get the dopamine hit. Yeah,
exactly. Just seeing that.
No, but yeah, I saw that when it the news article came out, and I was like, oh my gosh, like people are going to start creating now that it's we're starting to get to the point where AI avatars are starting to get really, really good in the fact that you can train it on, all of your own data, and it can run like you've played around with HeyGen. We both love HeyGen. Like this level of AI avatar is soon going to be doing their own TikTok Shop live streams and things like that here. Like that's where it starts in China. This is what everyone like in marketing kind of knows, like, especially when it comes to like social media, live streaming and AI, it kind of starts over there. And then we see what they do. And then we kind of adopt it. So I think that's the next thing. I think people are going to have AI avatars of themselves that are going to be just live streaming products, selling products, and it's going to be highly lucrative.
Yep. The other trend I'm seeing, which I'm sure you've tapped into as well, is clipping.
Oh yeah,
the whole clipping monetization strategy with certain creators.
Yeah. So are you talking about like how people can set up WAPs and then they can yeah that's like again another secret that I guess people don't really know about.
Yeah, I mean, and it's like I think online first companies and creators like ourselves are familiar with this type of concept, but for everyone who's not familiar with it, essentially creators that have long form content or streamers can basically set up a monetization funnel where other people can go and take their content and then clip it into short form content, and then they are then able to get paid out based off of the amount of views that they can get.
Yeah, CPM model.
And what's interesting is like Andrew Tate is the one that like kind of started this trend where
Yeah.
he was pushing people to sell his course because he basically went out and said, I have 12 years of long form footage that you can take, and I'm going to do no copyright strikes on anything. And all you do is, sell it or push it back to the course or whatever that he was selling,
Yeah.
make $12 off of a $50 ALV. People are making hundreds of thousands of dollars with that. And I think
Yeah.
other people started seeing that as a, go-to model.
Yeah, yeah, 100%. Well, with the tape model, I mean, he, say what you will about him. I don't agree
Yeah.
with a lot of what he
Same.
says and all that, but like, let's put that aside. Like, the model itself is genius because I've worked in affiliate marketing for a while. So the way
Mm-hmm.
that he presented it to these kids is like, and I'm sure I didn't take the course, but I'm sure this is how the course kind of ends is, okay, this is how you make money. This is how you become, a better man, whatever it is. And then at the end of the course, it says something to the effect of, I'm going to give you the secret of like, you can now make X amount of dollars by promoting this course. Here's the blueprint. And then he creates this flywheel of everyone who comes in, even if 100 people come in and he gets 5 people that end up promoting his course, it works out for him because then out of those 5 people, maybe one or two of them might end up bringing 1,000 more people in through the affiliate model because they, when they share that little special affiliate link, these kids might get paid 50, $100 to, sell a digital course where, Tate might get however much it is, $500 or whatever.
Yeah. I was listening to another podcast the other day, and they were kind of talking about this, how once larger companies figure out this model, like they'll be able to sway, because everything that we see, everything, and I think what a lot of people, like no one's watching a 5 hour stream all the way through. They are
No.
watching the 5 second clips that get clipped from the
Yeah.
streams. So what if there were lots of these clips that had negative sentiment towards a certain company or a certain restaurant or
Oh, yeah.
something like that, and a private equity company was basically funding the Clippers, and they have a short position against that company, and then they just flood the feeds with this like negative style content that could then drop stock price, and they make a fortune. And it's like they're paying maybe what, like 20, 50K maybe
Yeah.
in clipping,
Oh,
but yet
yeah.
they're making millions if not billions off of the market and their short position. Like,
Yeah, to be honest, I wouldn't be surprised if that is already
already
happening.
happening.
Yeah,
Yeah.
like I
Yeah.
know, I've followed a few of those types of sentiment traders
Hmm.
before, where they just trade on trends,
Yep.
and that's really what they look for. And I wouldn't be surprised if there are traders out there that game the system in those ways. But yeah, it's so funny. It does feel like, in a way, when I first started out in digital marketing, because I own an agency like 10, 12 years ago, it felt like the Wild West because Facebook ads had just kind of launched and people were not really familiar with it. So it was kind of the days of, and you remember this probably from your ecom days, like you could just pop up like a silly video or not even a video, just an image and just make a ton of money. You know what I mean? It was like you were doing the bare minimum of work. And then,
Yep.
and back then it felt like the Wild West. And now with AI and with, clipping and social media and kind of where we're heading with everything, it kind of feels like the Wild West again. And for a while before I kind of got into AI, I was almost bored because I was like kind of spinning my wheels, being like, all right, it's kind of the same as it's ever been. And then
Hmm.
ChatGPT kind of came in. I was like, oh, this is going to change everything. And here we are today. And
Yep.
you know what I mean? Like,
There, and like I'm 31, and so by the time ChatGPT came out, I recognized that that was maybe like the third or maybe fourth cycle of this type of like innovation or a trend to hop on, or, and I hate to even use that phrase, but
yeah,
it's like these are the moments of getting into the next I don't know, sphere of relevancy almost.
Yeah, 100%. As well as like this is where you can make a name for yourself and also make a decent amount of money. Like this
Yeah.
is when I first started my digital, I keep going back to this, but I see a lot of parallels in terms of now versus then.
Hmm.
I started my agency. I didn't necessarily know what I was doing. I didn't have a ton of experience. I didn't even go to school for marketing.
Yeah.
And so like I went to school for communications. So um and so I remember like just starting out on my own and being like, I'm just going to try to figure it out. And luckily, because the like phrase digital marketing was so kind of new at the time, I could do that and learn on the run. And now I see similarities to that in that, you and I are kind of learning about AI maybe, and I've said this to you before, one chapter ahead of most other people. Like I wouldn't necessarily say that I'm like this, like I didn't go to school to learn about AI. I just happen to be obsessed about AI and I'm learning it at a very fast rate so that I can synthesize all this information and give it out to other people in a non-complex, kind of engaging, interesting way.
Yeah.
And so that's really with these trends is like, and I hate to call them trends too, like you can hop on them and then all of a sudden become like an industry expert extremely quickly.
Hmm.
And social media really helps with that.
And that's probably why your agency is successful in the first place, is you weren't conditioned by traditional education to do certain things. Like I remember taking marketing and advertising classes in school in 2014, 2015, and I was running Facebook ads during those classes, and they would not talk about running Facebook ads or digital marketing.
Dude,
And I was like, what are you,
what are we
what are we
doing?
even doing
Yeah,
here?
why am I even here?
Why, like,
I say that to my wife all
yeah,
the time. I'm like, what is like, unless you're going to be like a doctor or something, it's like, what's the point of going to like, I hate to say it, but like, why spend 50,000 plus dollars to like learn things that are going to be outdated? Like, because I had a very similar experience. I think I took one marketing class, and I was like, this is like the most basic stuff ever.
yeah,
Like you can learn so much more on like Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, like ChatGPT. So I think the traditional education model is dying,
oh yeah,
and for like good riddance, because I actually just did a video. It's not out yet on this school in Texas called Alpha School. Have you heard about
oh
this?
yes, yeah, the AI tutors,
Oh man, it is crazy. These kids
yeah,
go to school for 2 hours a day, and then the rest of the time they can like, do like fun projects or like learn swimming or go rock climb, like do things that they actually want to do.
yep,
And these kids are learning, they're in the top 2%, like nationwide,
yeah,
and they're skipping grades because they're getting so smart by working with these AI tutors. It's incredible, and I'm just like thinking like, oh great, like like the billionaires are going to send their kids to these schools, and we're gonna have like it's going to create this massive divide between the haves and the have-nots. And I just hope that we can like come together as like a nation and be like, hey, maybe we should adopt this model so that all kids have this ability.
yeah. And that's a very interesting story that goes against that MIT study that came out about how ChatGPT is making everyone quote unquote dumber.
Yeah, I read these studies and like I've seen a lot of contradicting studies that say that. And it all really comes back to the way that you use ChatGPT. If you use ChatGPT
Yeah,
as like you just tell it what you want it to do, and you don't actually like use any critical thinking to say, okay, like maybe this is correct. Like here's how I can, work with it to refine this answer. If you use it as like an assistant, it's going to be extremely helpful and
yeah,
beneficial to you, and you will learn using it. But if you just take what it says, copy and paste it into an email or a document or a report, yeah, it's going to really degrade your critical thinking, because you're going to just switch your brain off and be like, all right, ChatGPT's, doing everything for me now.
Yeah. And the sample size was like 55 or 65 people. So I mean, it's probably the same size as that group of kids in that school, probably, or
Yeah.
similar size. So yeah, and I think like the headlines was makes you dumber, but in reality, the study was like recollection and like memory of topics, I think, or something like that.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
yeah, it wasn't like makes you dumber. It's just like you can't remember stuff as well, which
Which is
arguably,
me already.
yeah, yeah, yeah,
From scrolling on TikTok, and that stuff has degraded, my memory a bit, but you know, it is what it is.
yeah. Yeah, and the other little piece on the school education side, I was like, don't even get me started on the entrepreneur classes.
Oh yeah.
Those were just horrendous.
Right, because it's like the most basic stuff of like set up a lemonade stand, and like if you like
Yeah.
if it costs $1 to do this, then how much should you charge? It's like, oh my god.
Yeah. I think I mean the value I definitely got out of school was social, like the social
Yeah, me
aspect of
too.
it all and like
Well, so I didn't mention this to you before. I know you said that you were in a fraternity. I bounced around schools a few times. I was at the University of North Carolina at Wilmington, and I wasn't a fan of North Carolina because I'm from New Jersey, and I was like, this is like culture shock to me. And so I did a year at a community college, and I tell everyone to do this because you save a ton of money. I almost wish I did it for the first 2 years.
hmm
And there's like this bad like reputation that community colleges have that like, oh, only the dumb people, and that's not the case. Like, you learn, it's the same level of education, it just happens to be a community college. And then what you can do is take those 2 years, transfer them to, you can transfer to like a state school or any other school, and now you get a diploma from that state school for 50% off, if not less. And so that's what I did, and I transferred to University of Pittsburgh. And then it was when I was there, because I transferred halfway in, I was like, I need to make friends with people because I didn't know anyone. And so I joined a fraternity, and that really helped from the social side of things. Is like,
Yep.
you immediately have a friend group. You immediately can like,
Yeah.
have fun.
Yeah. Yeah, I graduated high school in 2012, so I watched The Social Network that came out in 2010, 2011, and was like, "Oh, I need to be in Silicon Valley." Like that's where, and it's so funny because I think that for whatever it's worth, like that movie corrupted a whole generation of people into
Yeah.
thinking whether it's good or bad, like the only form of success is making a multi-billion dollar world changing, thing.
Yeah. 100%.
And I like how it definitely pushed me to want to reach those heights or like, strive for that excellence. But now after being an entrepreneur and running multiple different businesses over the last, 10 plus years, like there is that greatness and that level of success that everyone can strive to, but having a medium-sized cash flowing business that's profitable is just as good, if not better.
Oh yeah, from a lot of different angles too.
Yes.
In that you aren't like constantly stressing every single hour of your life. I mean, I think every 20 something guy kind of goes through that, especially like like
Yeah.
we're both driven, like we both are entrepreneurs, we both have been in the game for a while. Like, you start out and you're like, yeah, I'm gonna make $1 billion, and I'm gonna be the next. Like, I see
Yeah.
it on Twitter all the time. Like, I see these 20 somethings, or like, now it's like 18, 19 somethings, or even
Yep.
younger, and they're just, full of ego and like full of like testosterone. And I'm like, damn, I remember. I'm so glad I didn't use social media back then, because I would have done the same thing. I would
hmm
be like saying the same stuff, and it's just like, and then you grow up and you're like, oh wait, there's more to life than just like, working like 15-hour days and like trying to make $1 million a month, or like whatever it is, you know what I mean, like $1 million a week or whatever.
Yeah.
But yeah, no. But to the people that want to do that, or really 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 want to do that, more power to you, man.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think yeah, one way or the other, they will either achieve that or they'll fail forward and realize that lesson and come to the same similar conclusions, most likely.
Yeah, I mean, to be quite honest, I burnt out. I was that person. Like, I was doing extremely well. And then, you do it for 10 plus years and then you just eventually you hit a wall. And maybe this is just me, but like you do that same routine for 10 years and then you just get burnt out. And so that's actually one of the reasons why I switched kind of into content creation was because I needed like almost like a creative outlet or like I needed a change of pace because I was starting to kind of, like I said before, almost get bored and I was kind of getting burnt out. And yeah, it's been so much fun. Like I'm having so much fun right now.
Yeah.
And I get
And
to
you
meet cool
control
people
it.
like you. Yeah, exactly.
You can control it. Yeah. I think so many people that I talk to where they're still working in like a 9 to 5 and things that are kind of like outside of our cohort, like the sentiment is the exact same regardless of age, demographic, job type. And if it's like, I hate my job, I hate my life. I want to find something that I'm passionate about. And like what we're talking about, like most of the time I'm like, all right, well, just start making content.
Yeah.
Like you don't need to necessarily have a direction. You could just, document your day, like document, don't create.
Yeah.
But like I think it allows you to have that creative aspect, but so many people are jaded by social media from the consumer side, where just like the social network, and I was jaded, like you are thinking that everyone is successful, everyone, like no one shares their struggles on
Right.
social media. It's always the
Right.
wins. Like when I like posting my video of crossing 200K on Instagram, like unless I've known you for 12 years, like you didn't see the struggle of posting and like I didn't make a video about here's how I'm struggling, like and no one's watching my content.
Right. It's so funny you say that because I felt the same way early on in creating content where, you have, I started at zero and then like, unfortunately or fortunately, because Instagram knew that my account was linked to my personal account, I think what it started doing was showing my videos to my business or AI videos to people that I follow or follow me on my personal account. So then they started seeing, I was like, oh, great. Like you're going to see all my cringy content first. But thankfully, it's funny, like as I started to get better, as I started to kind of pop off, like then they were like, oh wow, you're doing really good. I was like, yeah, like I'm sure you were saying that when I was like posting these cringy videos.
Yeah. Oh, so
But
that's interesting. You started a new account, not your personal.
yeah. I woke up
Okay.
one day and I was like, I'm gonna do this. And what's funny is like I've done this before, so I've created like TikToks and I did just one with my name a while ago as a 30-day challenge. And that's what I tell people to do. If they ever want to like get started with,
Yeah.
creating content, just challenge yourself to create content for 30 days in a row. And if you miss a day, okay, whatever, like you get sick, whatever, just pick it up, dust yourself off and do it the next day. But like it sets the tone of like, I'm going to do this every day. And like you start. And what's great about that is you can create on day one and then create on day 30. You can look back on day one and be like, if at day 30 you're like, man, I still kind of suck at this, you will look back on day one and be like, okay, I actually have made a decent amount of progress here.
100%.
Um,
There's no way you can't.
yeah, exactly. It's
It's
yeah,
inevitable.
it's inevitable because anytime you do something over and over and over again, you're going to figure out just in your brain subconsciously, you're going to figure out what works and what doesn't.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah. So everyone listening and watching, 30-day challenge, get started today. We'll see.
Get started, man.
Yeah, we'll see you next month. Let's go.
Yeah. There's a guy that has like taken off Yoni, has like created content every single day for like 300 or 400 days. And he's built such a great personal brand that he was able to create an app and launch it.
Is this the Brain Rot app?
Yeah.
Oh, I followed him yesterday.
Yeah, he's great, man. Such a like a nice guy. He followed. Oh, I followed him, then he followed me, and then we started like DMing.
Okay.
And like I like downloaded his app. It was just I was really just impressed by his story. But like what's crazy, and to kind of go back is I knew of him before all of this when he was just posting online about starting like a sticker business. And like people, he didn't have a ton of views back then. And he just worked every single day and then, built something. And like, I think that's the hardest part is like just the consistency.
Mm-hmm.
And like, like I said before, I was creating content on my personal account on TikTok as like a challenge. And like, I stopped and in my head, I was like, I was kind of beating myself up back then because I was like, oh, I stopped. I didn't really know what to talk about. And it's so funny because all of that, like starting this AI channel, all of that experience helped me start this AI channel. So it's okay if you start and you like quote unquote fail because you can always start again. Like, you know what I mean? You don't have like it's okay to like take a break and then kind of figure out which direction you want to go and then start things. I can't tell you how many different YouTube channels I've started and stopped. You know what I mean? It's the same thing with like affiliate websites. I've started like 100 affiliate websites and maybe 3 or 4 of them took off and ended up becoming incredible successes.
Yeah.
So this can be the same thing with, content creation.
Failing forwards. Always got to fail forwards.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah, that's me with just in business ventures in general.
Yeah.
I learned very early on that like I could go to zero or go to negative and be able to build my way out of it again. And
that's the secret to running a business or the secret to success in business. And I don't think people realize that because movies and media kind of glorify, oh, I started a business and then a week later it's making a million, because those are the stories that go viral on social media and things like that. But that's just not the case most of the time. What we don't end up seeing is the behind the scenes of the founder pivoting like 5 or 10 different times, trying a bunch of things, and then all of a sudden that one thing pops off. Mm-hmm. I call it, I to my wife whenever I'm talking about those like hockey stick effects, I call it riding the rocket ship. Like right now with where we're at in creating content, it feels like you're on a rocket ship and you're trying to just kind of hold on because like everything is like you're getting like a ton of views, you're getting a bunch, you wake up every day to like more followers and things like that, and you're just trying to put fuel into the rocket ship any way that you can to continue riding it up.
Yep.
And that happens. You got to try like 100 different things before you find that rocket ship. And then all you do is you just hold on to it and you just go, okay, whatever I was doing, correctly before, I'll just keep doing it. And it will, keep riding the rocket ship up.
Yeah. Most of the time when I'm talking to the people that are like, oh, I want to start a business, or like, I see that you're doing X, Y, Z. And I'm like, I love your, excitement around it. But like to bring you down to earth, you're going to be spending more like versus your job. You're going to be spending more time, making less money, more stress. But like the big but is like you have hopefully more like fulfillment and like with the passion. And I was like, that's why you start with content creation first, because it teaches you kind of those same aspects of showing up every day without having to potentially leave your job or or quit or make that massive jump over where especially if you've never run a business before. That's scary. And I totally
100%. And it's funny that you talk about like the 9-to-5 people. I think it's really hard for people that have been working 9-to-5s for 5, 10 plus years to jump into like starting your own business, because with a job, a traditional job, there's structure. And then you take someone who's used to structure of like, I wake up at 7, I get breakfast, I drive to work, and then I have a meeting, and then and then you throw them into this really unstructured environment of like, all right, just figure it out. There's no manual, there's no one looking over your shoulder, you can do whatever you want. A lot of people kind of freak out in those situations because you don't have a manager to report to, you don't have anyone saying good job or you should do this better, you know what I mean?
It's exactly what the educational system trained us to do and be workers.
Exactly. And it's so funny because I was not like a great student. You hear this early, when you're like the Richard Bransons or whoever, it's like kind of they glorify, oh, well, I wasn't a good student. And it's funny because again, it goes back to the educational, like the structure of our educational system in that we're not really trying to create, you know, students to become entrepreneurs or build businesses or anything. We're trying to create worker bees.
Yeah.
And so the people who are the kids who fortunately or unfortunately don't pay attention, or they're kind of, I was a class clown, so I was goofing off, those kids, they don't necessarily play by the rules, so that way when they are put into these situations later on where they have to figure things out, they can kind of figure it out because they've had to figure it out
Exactly.
their whole life. You know what I mean?
And bringing it full circle, like that's why I think what you're saying, AI is going to completely disrupt that model, because it worked when college costs $10,000 or 20,000, 30,000 for like the full 4 years. And then you could get a high paying job right out of school to offset that investment. But now you're paying 30,000 a year or even more, and there are no jobs for you because they're requiring that you have 3 years of experience right away with no experience possible because you were in school the whole time.
Right. Yeah. No, it's going to be really interesting to see what happens in both the school system, like the school educational like structure that we've kind of built up over the past few hundred years, as well as the job, like people coming into jobs and what that's going to look like. I have my own theories of how it's going to evolve. I think eventually what is going to happen is we'll all turn, not we all, but like people doing like 9 to 5 jobs are eventually going to move up a level and become managers. Mm-hmm. And so they'll end up managing, you can call them AI assistants, AI agents, whatever you want to call them, that will actually be doing all the tedious work, like, filling out the spreadsheets, going through, doing like QAs and things like that. And then that last 10% will be done by, the managers, or kind of looked over by the managers. And so
Agree.
I think there's kind of like this whole, and the media has been really great at pushing this whole, like, jobs are going to disappear and blah, blah, blah. And like, yes, eventually I think we're going to have that discussion. But with where we are in the short term, I think it's going to be everyone, slowly starting to move up the chain. And then those lower tier jobs are going to be taken by, AI.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah. And that one, back to the Google VO and video creation and content stuff with AI, like you still have to be semi-creative and know what to prompt it in order to get those videos that will generate 57 million views.
Oh yeah, and I'm sure that those kids or whoever is creating them are going through dozens of iterations and wasting like tons of credits, because especially VO3, it costs like $6 for 8 seconds of videos. Yep. So if you mess up, let's say you do like a few videos and each of those videos is, let's say, 5 clips. It's a lot of money, because you're not just paying for those generations that you see on the screen. You're paying for all the mess ups too. Exactly. And so a lot of the comments, in my videos, whenever I talk about VO3, is like, I did it and it didn't work out. I'm like, yeah, like you gotta play. That's just the game that you play. It's like going to the casino. Sometimes you'll pull it and you'll win, and sometimes the AI is just gonna not work for you.
Well, it's very similar to like why movies and TV shows, like they'll do several takes, if not dozens of takes, because they don't know which version of the take is going to be the best, essentially.
Yeah. I mean, I do that too.
And
I'll do
we both do that. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Because you never really know, especially when you're taking it and you're saying it, and then you put it into the timeline. You're like, why did I say it like that? I'm a fool.
Yeah. Well, I think that brings me to my content recommendation of the week, which is so on Disney Plus they did a documentary about ILM, Industrial Light and Magic, and how Lucasfilm and ILM were created when the original Star Wars came out to like basically create all the special effects for those movies that came out in the mid to late 70s. And when it first got started, it was a model shop, and people were building models with their hands and like, claymation things. And some of those things, like you can see the practical effects that they did in those movies where they had a model of a spaceship and then they were like shooting lights at it. And then that became, the shot where it's the ship is coming overhead as it's firing at Princess Leia's ship. And like, what's interesting is it tracks the progress of ILM and how, and not only about the progress of ILM, but also how George Lucas and Lucasfilm in general were pushing the envelope for technology in Hollywood during that time. Like they were the ones, and I learned this, that like they were the ones that pushed for digital away from analog, like filming on digital. And towards the end of the first season, I think there's 2 seasons now, but towards the end of the first season, they start talking about how computer generated graphics were coming into play. And they were interviewing people at the model shop, and they were like, "Oh, the computer department, that's the dark side." Like they were calling it the dark side. And being like, "Oh, you'll never be able to replace us because blah blah blah, we're able to build the models and like we have all this knowledge, and the computer graphics stuff, it's not real, blah blah blah." And then like fast forward 3 weeks, the same people that were saying that were like, "Oh yeah, we started hanging out in the computer graphics department, and then we got a desk ourselves and we started playing around with it."
Yeah.
And those are the people that became the most successful in the computer graphics division because they had this previous knowledge and experience of shot composition and like how things should be done and how they should look.
Right.
And they were able to translate that information over to the computer graphics. And I was like, I paused it and I was like, how similar is that with what is going on right now with AI generated content?
Oh, 100%.
And all these tools that are coming out, like so many, and like we were talking about earlier, so many people are like, "Oh, this is terrible, F you, blah, blah, blah," for even like promoting this stuff. But I'm like, if you guys had some context about how, as humans, we are cyclical, like these cycles come around.
Yeah.
And this is just another one of those cycles. And I think the people that are going to be the most successful with these AI tools are the creatives right now. It's not like,
and the people that are open-minded.
Yeah, it's not like, us AI nerds who are like,
Right.
blah, blah, blah. It's like somebody who has a vision for something and then now are able to use these tools to get that vision faster.
Oh, 100%. It's so funny that you say that because early on, whenever I would talk about AI generated content, specifically like AI video, that's when I would get the most amount of hate comments because people were just so against it. And fast forward to today to kind of bring this full circle where we were talking about that carousel post that, I posted, and on TikTok too, I posted it and it got like hundreds, 700,000-800,000 views. People were commenting, "When is this coming out? I love this. I can't wait to see, please make this into a video." And I wanted to be like, I was like about to pull my hair out. I was like, guys, like a few months ago, everyone was like sending me like death threats of like, I can't, you can't be, using AI generated content or any of this stuff. And so it's just funny to see this sentiment slowly start to shift, as we, start to evolve, AI generated content. And that actually leads into my content recommendation of the week, who is actually a person. And I think someone, I don't know if you follow this guy, his name's Rourke Heath.
Oh yeah.
Oh my gosh. He's the one who I'm like most jealous of because he's so good at every single aspect of content creation. And I know we've talked a lot about, content creation, but just from the AI side of things too, he's so good at the generative AI, specifically when it comes to like AI video, AI images. He has such a good eye for bringing everything together as well as doing it in such an engaging and interesting way. And I think when it comes to AI, because we're kind of all given AI as this broad thing, AI images, AI videos, we're all trying to figure out how do we use these things, right? So in like what we talk about, we're always talking about use cases. How can you use ChatGPT to do X? Or what is, like what is X? Like let's like brainstorm ideas for how to use any of these AI tools. He does an exceptionally good job from the creative side of things of saying, okay, here's VO3, here's, there's this new image model like Flux Context. Here's how we can like bring all of these things together to create something that is incredible and do it in like a very quick amount of time and does a really good job of like kind of comparing it to what it would take previously versus like now. Yeah, I'm in awe of his I think he does an incredible job of that. If you are interested in like AI video, how to use AI video, like VO3, how to use like AI images, or do anything from like the business side of things, like creating like branding assets to actually like generating AI videos, like cool AI videos just for creative work. He's the man to follow.
We got to get him in our group.
I know. I would love that. I'm friends with one of his friends, Sebastian Jeffries. So I'm trying to like weasel my way into his worldview, so he knows who I am.
I think Brand Nat and him were at the same event, maybe.
Oh, maybe. I know that he's I think in London. So
Yeah.
I think the London crew knows him. Yeah, but he's awesome. I would love to meet him someday and just talk AI shop with him.
Yeah. Cool. Well, yeah, I think this is a great inaugural episode.
Yeah, this is great. I think we packed a lot in from the content side, content creation to the AI side. So, no, this has been great.
Yeah. Cool. All right. Well, thanks everyone for watching, and we'll see you guys next week.
See you next week.